Welcome everyone as the calendar has flipped over to December. This is where the cream of the crop rises to the top for the playoffs and the pretenders fall out of the playoff race. I have 5 picks for you this week. So let's get started. I like the Bears -6 over the 49ers. I think Jay Cutler behind his offensive line will have all day to throw down the field against a 49er secondary and defense that misses tons of tackles. And I know the 49ers almost beat the Cardinals last week, but that won't be the case in the Windy City, as I don't think Blaine Gabbert and their defense will travel in front of the road crowd. And Vic Fangio, who got let go by the 49ers last year, will have his revenge on his old defensive team. For my next pick, I like the Giants +2.5 over the Jets. Boy, did the Giants ever wet the bed last week in DC. But I look for a big bounce back game from Eli and the boys. And it looks like they'll be getting 2 out of the 3 offensive linemen back in the mix, which should help Eli and the receivers. I think the Giants will use a quick passing game with his backs and slot guys to slow down the Jets' pass rush, which will show up in the fourth quarter, to take advantage of a thin Jets secondary missing Revis and his replacement. And the Jets' safeties have been lit up most of the year, so Beckham and Randall will be able to catch some big passes. And I think the Jets won big last week, but they beat up on a dysfunctional Dolphins team. So I don't think Fitzpatrick will be able to keep up with Eli on the scoreboard. Give me Manning over Fitzpatrick any day. For my next pick, I like Seahawks +1 over the Vikings. The Seahawks got back to their defensive ways when it counted the most against the Steelers, which I think will carry over on the road in Minnesota. The Seahawks front 7 matches up really well with the Vikings O-line and what they like to do on offense with AP and their receivers. I don't think Peterson will have an explosive day like he has last few weeks, as the Seahawks linebacking core is too fast for even Adrian Peterson. He might get his yards, but he'll have to get lots of carries to get them. And I think the Seattle receivers can do some things against a young secondary of the Vikings. And Wilson, I think, is more patient in the pocket than Bridgewater, and he is more accurate with his long throws, and that will show up here. For my next pick, I like the Texans +3 over the Bills. This should be a defensive battle between both these clubs, but I think the Texans' defensive line and secondary will give Tyrod Taylor and the offense more trouble than for Brian Hoyer. They have much more speed, and I think Taylor will throw a pick or a sack fumble to be the difference. And I think Houston's O-line will overpower the Bills' defensive line to give more time for Hoyer and the running game. Do you hear that ringing? Yes, those aren't Christmas bells. It's the upset alert of the week. The upset special for the week is the Raiders +3 over the Chiefs. I know what you all might be thinking. The Chiefs have won 5 in a row, but they haven't done it against the greatest of quarterbacks, and they're both offensive and defensive lines have been getting hit hard by the injury bug, which I think the Raiders can take advantage of. I don't think Alex Smith will have the time against Kyle Mack and his friends to sit back with the screen passes and long throws to Macklin. And I've noticed the last few weeks that the Chiefs defense has been having trouble covering small and fast receivers, just like what Oakland has. So I look for the Raiders to let their speed against the Chiefs secondary to their advantage. Yes, Crabtree, Cooper, and Holmes will have big receiving days over the middle, and I think this game could be a bit of a trap for this Chiefs team who is on a roll. With a win, the Raiders can tie the Chiefs and get right back in the wild card mix in the AFC. And I think Carr will have a good game and they'll get the victory. For a quick recap of my picks, here is a quick review.